Fake news. Welcome to Fake News. Hello, I'm Chad Bierman.
And I'm Sean Bierman. Today, we're talking about some hot topics. There's an election coming up in the Soviet Union, and we have some notable guys running up for presidency.
There's this new man in town named Mikhail Gorbachev. He's youthful, energetic, politically talented. He is currently in his early 50s and was only a child when Stalin reigned. His support following is noticeably growing.
So, today, we have an interview with Jaroblav Vankovsky, a local supporter of Gorbachev.
This guy's got all our country needs. All the other rulers we got are dying off about a year after being elected. This guy's in his 50s. What? He's exploring new political ideas. He says the Soviet Union is experiencing stagnation, meaning the nation hasn't progressed in years. He promises change. Change! Isn't that nice? He calls change glasnost. Let's see it, baby! Woo!
We had the honor to interview Gorbachev himself, and today he presents his ideologies that he claims will revive the Soviet Union. Hello, Gorbachev. Could you please explain what is your policy, glasnost?
Thank you, Sean. I desire to create more openness of ideas for social and economic reform. I realize that our country cannot flourish without openness. Our country is stuck in stagnation. We need change, progress.
How will you do that?
I will do what I said and improve human rights in the Soviet Union. Look, I have this plan called perestroika, which basically means economic reconstructing. People, specifically farmers, aren't producing much food because if they produced more, they wouldn't get paid more. Because in communism, everyone is paid equally. I believe this decreases the motive to produce more. Look, local managers should gain greater authority over their farms and factories. Let people open private businesses. Look, I don't want to remove communism, but increase this economic system's efficiency and productivity.
We'll see if you get elected to make this happen. Back to Chad in the studio.
Fake news. Mikhail Gorbachev has been elected. He has fulfilled everything he said he would and has also planned something called democratization. This opens up political systems for less grip of Soviet government on society. Now, instead of just the Communist Party picking candidates, voters can choose from a list of candidates for each office. This has made many political surprises though. Little-known candidates may be sometimes chosen over political bosses. Fake news.
Breaking news! Lithuania has declared independence from the Soviet Union.
What?
There's more background to this, however.
The recently elected Gorbachev has taken action to crush the revolt in Lithuania. As Gorbachev gave them more rights in Lithuania, the people have begun asking for more freedoms.
This pattern is evident as nationalist groups are now calling for self-rule. Muslims of Soviet Central Asia are asking for religious freedom. And yes, it is true. Lithuania has declared independence. Gorbachev sent troops to crush the opposition in Lithuania out of his fear that it will become an example for other Soviet-controlled lands. But now people are unhappy about Gorbachev's assaulting of the people in Lithuania. People are also upset for his slow reforms, so they're calling for Boris Yeltsin's help to rule, for he was against the attack in Lithuania, and he advocates for quicker reforms.
Fake news.
A new group called the Hardliners have been leading the call to overthrow Gorbachev. Let's take a closer look at their motives.
Down with Gorbachev. He's done nothing but lead our country to waste. At his standards, the Soviet Union's gonna be more like the Soviet Union. See, I'm a conservative, and I feel that Gorbachev is just not working fast enough for change. We need someone who will bring change fast. And you know what? Boris Yeltsin is just the guy for that. Yeltsin needs to become president. And we will force Gorbachev to resign if he refuses to comply.
Here is my report about what happened the night the Hardliners tried to overthrow Gorbachev. Hardliners detained Gorbachev and forced him to resign from presidency. Protesters gathered at the Russian parliament building where Yeltsin spoke to them.
Hardliner troops were ordered to attack the parliament building, but they refused.
The tide turned towards Gorbachev.
Gorbachev returned to power. This event is now known as the August Coup.
Fake news. Breaking news! Today, the Berlin Wall, which was built to prevent thousands of communist citizens from escaping communist rule, has been collapsed. Guards are now allowing citizens through. This collapse signifies the push for democracy and reforms by Soviet citizens, and it makes the longevity of the Soviet Union questionable. Many nations under the USSR are now fighting for independence. Yeltsin fears the potential of losing unity with surrounding nations of the USSR. His plan to repair unity is called the Commonwealth of Independent States, aka the CIS. Tell us more, Sean.
Many nations surrounding the Soviet Union are currently craving independence. The CIS was formed as a compromise between independence and unity. So far, all 15 republics of the Soviet Union have declared their goals for independence. So, the goal of the CIS is to act as a loose federation of former Soviet territories with the Soviet Union in hopes to keep a strong relationship with these countries.
However, the CIS is failing, and this means huge changes for our times. First off, President Gorbachev officially resigned. Second off, the union of the countries in the Russian region there is no union between them, which means there is no union in the Soviet Union. And that means the Soviet Union doesn't exist. And it also means there is no Cold War.
The collapse of the Soviet Union meant the fall of communism, and therefore freedom for all the countries under communist control. The fall of the Soviet Union also signaled the end of the Cold War. However, it created more tensions between Russia and the US, because many countries feared of US dominance. There were also tensions that grew between Russia and other countries that they feared losing control of. Now in Russia, sadly, there has been an increase in homelessness, decrease in life expectancy, increase in domestic violence and unemployment, and there are also experts that fear poor control of nuclear weapons. The collapse of the Soviet Union is extremely important today in 2019 because it signaled an end to the Cold War, which potentially saved millions of lives from nuclear warfare. The collapse also meant an end to the push that the USSR seemed to have on Eastern European nations. This means freedom for these occupied nations, many rights, self-rule, and the goodness of freedom. The fall of the Berlin Wall and the Soviet Union will hopefully always remind people of the dangers and false promises of communism, and remind people of the joy in life in freedom.
Fake news.